About 4 months ago, a company called Ranvu reached out to me and said they had a portable, wearable air conditioner that they wanted me to review. And at the time, I thought to myself, that's not really something that makes a ton of sense on my channel. I didn't really understand why I would want to review such a thing, but that was in like March. But as we moved on into the warmer parts of the year, and I'm back outside, I'm mowing the yard, I'm going for long walks out in the heat, I started thinking, that portable air conditioner might be pretty cool. So we talked once again, and this time I said, you know what? Yeah, send this thing over to me. So in this video, we're talking about the Ranvu Ice 3. This thing, like I said, is a wearable portable air conditioner. As you can see here on their website, it does retail for $399. This thing is not a toy. This is not some basic little thing. It's not a fan that you wrap around your neck, guys. It actually does cool the surface is making contact with your neck and therefore should be cooling your body, or at least giving you the experience of having your body cooled. I don't know if it's actually going to meaningfully cool your body, but you're definitely going to feel something going on. I cannot wait to get into this thing, to put it on and see if it can actually make these long summer warm days better. Typically what I do, maybe you've seen these things, they're these weird towel things. When they're dry, they're like really hard, but you get them wet and you wrap them around your neck, or you put them on your head, or whatever you're going to do so that you have some moisture sort of on your body. And that does help a little bit, but it's also messy. You have this wet thing on your body. So that's my question. Can this thing replace that? Is it better than something like that? Is it less messy? How does it perform in comparison to something simple like that? Is this sort of technology actually better than going with the simple analog route that I've done for many years? So let's take a look at the hardware here of the Ranvu Ice 3. I believe that is the proper pronunciation of this device, AICE. And like I said, I think that's supposed to be pronounced ice. This thing does feel quite solid. When I pulled it out of the box, I was pretty impressed with the overall build quality, which for the price, it should be quite well built. And like I said, it does feel pretty decent. You can kind of adjust the size of the thing because it's going to need to, be making contact with your neck. So I think that should support, a pretty good variety of different neck sizes. It feels pretty stiff when you're doing that adjustment as well. Fairly nice. Of course, there are fans all over this thing while you are wearing it. There's air coming up through here and hitting you in the sides of the head, your ears, and your neck. There are fans down here blowing down sort of the back of your neck as well. And then, of course, you have these big areas here that get very cold or very warm, depending on what you are doing. And those are making contact with your neck. I would assume the logic there is that you've got a lot of blood flow going through your neck. And if you can cool this area down and thereby cool down your neck, you should be able to meaningfully cool down the blood that's in your body and therefore cause yourself to feel a little bit cooler. And then if you've got air blowing up on the sides of your face and your neck as well, that's going to further cool that area through evaporation, and in theory, again, should have a fairly significant effect. We do have a button here that can be used to control different things. You can long press it to change modes, so forth and so on. There's a sensor back here in the middle which can detect if you're wearing it or not. That was probably out of focus. You should be able to see that there. It also can track things like your heart rate, your O2 in your blood, which is actually pretty interesting as well. And then there's a button on the back here which actually powers it up. One thing that is pretty cool as well is there is a screen on the side which can be used to move through these different menus. You can see exercise and so forth. I did my mowing with this thing on, and you can see my steps and my calories. You can also see heart rate being monitored, temperature, play, pause, because yes, there are speakers on this thing. Granted, they're not particularly loud. I don't know that I'm going to really use them all that often, but they are there if you want to do that. You can swipe up and get to some different modes, and you can also swipe down to get to controls for your wind speed as well as for your temperature control. But of course, there is also an application which works relatively well. There is some weird stuff from time to time. I do things in this app and nothing happens on here. I have to move it around a couple of times and then it starts working. But basically, you've got your battery here. You have your fan speed, your temperature, some different modes, cooling, heating, and auto, as well as some other different modes, which I should be able to, there we go, silent, hot pack, cooling first, and these are some pretty interesting modes, which I can actually show you their paperwork on really quickly. As you can see here, cooling first is a powerful and instant cooling experience. Battery life first is good for saving that battery. Hot pack mode, maybe you've got a sore neck, it's gonna do something for that. Sedentary relief, again, after detecting you've been sitting for a long time, it's going to activate that hot pack function to relax your neck. Stress relief post-workout. There's some like really intelligent stuff on here. Pretty cool. But now what I'd like to do is let's kind of test this thing out. So let's drop that temperature all the way down to 60 degrees Fahrenheit and let's see what it's actually able to do. What does that temperature get to on this side? I can already feel it. It's getting quite cold. So using my infrared thermometer here, let's read that, and we are at 66.9 degrees. 64.4 continuing to fall. So we've gotten all the way down to basically 60 degrees. Now I did go from AI auto mode to the cooling mode, and I've got the fan turned down to 0. I can still, hear and feel that fan blowing just a little bit, but that has gotten very, very cold to the touch. And of course, you can ratchet this fan up, which you should be able to hear here in a second. There we go. It is absolutely blasting, probably very audible to the camera. And you can definitely feel it coming out of this area here. And like I said, yeah, I believe it's coming out of here and here. But again, this is just very, very cold to the touch. So let's turn this down so we can actually hear better. So in the unboxing, you probably saw this thing here. And at first I thought that this was some sort of a charging thing, right? That it was going to sit like this and it was going to, wirelessly charge the thing. But that is in fact not what this thing is for. I believe I mentioned that it charges with USB-C. And what you're meant to do is to set this thing on this stand, and perhaps you could plug it in if you wanted, and I believe that is what all of this room back here is for, is to hide away excess cable if you want to do that. And as it's sitting here, it will run. And you can effectively now use this as a very strange desk fan that's not only going to blow air at you, it should cool that air a little bit as well while it's doing that. So I've got the thing fired up and running full blast, and I can tell you, yeah, I can definitely feel that air hitting my chest, although I'm only about a foot away. These areas here are getting colder, and that should be cooling that air a little bit. This is an interesting feature, a cool thing that you can do, but what I will say is I don't think it's going to be all that useful. In fact, a cheap fan is going to blow so much harder in terms of the distance. You're not going to be sitting super close to this. If you're here, yeah, it's going to feel great. But if you're further away, I think a normal fan is probably going to be the better way to go. But if you already got this thing and it's a thing you could do, I guess you could potentially try it. But this is sort of one of the more underwhelming features of this device. Although I will say, it's not the most underwhelming feature of this device. That is probably going to be given to, that title, that award, is probably going to be given to this speaker. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on audio for these for the Ice 3. I'm going to let you hear what it actually sounds like. So I've got media turned on. We're going to open up YouTube Music, and let's just pick a song, and we're going to go full blast volume. And if I turn off the speaker and play it through my phone, I mean, your phone is almost certainly going to be orders of magnitude louder, right? So this is, it's going to be close to your head and everything, but what I have found is that they're almost not loud enough to even be audible over the sound of the fan. So if you're getting this for the speaker performance, I'd say don't do that. Get it specifically for that personal air conditioning. But like I said, the speakers, not great. The use as a desk fan, cool gimmick, probably not all that useful either. All right, so it's about 82 degrees outside right now, relatively high humidity. Typically what I would be doing, about to mow the yard here, is getting one of those towel things that kind of stay wet, wrap that around my neck or something like that. But now I have the Ranvu Ice 3. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start mowing without it, let myself get nice and warm, then I'm gonna pop this thing on and see how much of a difference it's actually able to make. Okay, so I've done just enough of the yard to begin to break a sweat. We've thrown the Ice 3 on, and I can tell you, it's already feeling pretty nice and cool. I'm gonna crank this thing up pretty much all the way and finish the yard. And let's see what that's like. Just finished here. Not a big yard, but you can see decent size. And I just got done. Do I feel like this thing made a difference? Do I feel like this thing was cooling me off? I've got it cranked up all the way. The fan is blowing right here underneath my ears and so forth. This area here is quite cool to the touch. I can feel my neck is very, very cool as well. Yeah, I think it's making a difference. I never really got past that first stage of like breaking a sweat. Like I didn't really start sweating properly, even though it's only 82 degrees. It'd be interesting to see when it gets really hot, what it's able to do. But in this kind of temperature, somewhat high humidity, 82 degrees, some light workout like mowing, it's definitely making as much, actually I'd say more of a difference than those towel things that soak up a bunch of water. And of course, there's that big advantage that you don't have the mess. You don't have the water. Typically, I use one like this and I've got it wet and maybe I'll tie it around my head like a headband, keep my hair out of my face, but also kind of cool things down. By the time I'm like halfway through, it's not really cool anymore. Like it's warmed up itself and I wind up kind of having to squeeze the water out of it and it's dripping down your face. It's just not a super great solution. Whereas this is just there and it's just cooling you off a little bit and it's not adding that mess. So now we're really going to put this thing to the test. We did the, mowing the yard thing, but that doesn't take me too long. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go for a walk around the neighborhood. It's a little over a mile, and as you can see, there is nary a cloud in the sky to give us any cover, any reprieve from the oppressive sun. Let's see if this thing, the Ranvu Ice 3, can keep me comfortable through this entire walk. So we're about a third of the way through the walk, I think. I'm feeling pretty cool, feeling like it's really doing quite a bit. There's one thing that I do notice though, with the fan on full blast, it's hitting you right in the ears. So if you're trying to talk to somebody, you may not be able to hear them quite as well because you've got your own personal fan blasting up into the side of your face. All right, the walk has been completed. Like I said, it is a little bit over a mile, 1.5 miles, as you can see there on my watch. Maybe you had a chance to see that. And I have definitely got some thoughts about this thing. Let's turn the fan down on it so that I can hear myself a little bit. It absolutely did help. I think the best way I could describe it is if you took one of those towel things, when you first put it on and it's really cold, it's really refreshing. If that's a 10, this thing sits somewhere around a 7.5 or an 8. But unlike that, it doesn't degrade. It is still just as cold now as it was when I first started the walk. So because of that, you just kind of maintain this level of comfort the entire time. Through that entire walk, about a mile and a half, upper 80s, high humidity, I never really truly broke a sweat, and that is not going to be the case generally speaking. I know my body. I don't typically go on these walks at 2 o'clock p.m. I'm going to do it early in the morning or late at night, close to 8 o'clock when the sun is going down for this exact reason. I made it through this pretty darn comfortably. Now, there are some downsides to it. This button here on this side, it's in a weird spot for me. I kept adjusting it and clicking the button and doing different actions. You can long press it to change modes. You can press it once to make it stop and then start again. If I press it again, it should fire back up. There we go. It is now firing back up. There are some other weird things though. So there's a screen on this thing that I talked about, which you can see here. That screen's great, but you can't see it when you're wearing it. To me, if they could have saved some money and had no screen on it, I probably would have just done that, because with that screen to use it, you got to take it off, and that just kind of is awkward to me. I'm much more likely to just pull my phone out of my pocket and do it with that. In fact, I haven't used the screen pretty much at all. All the data should just be in the app. It's easier to use that way anyway. Save some money. No screen would have been the way I would have gone. Another problem I've been having that some people will have, some people won't, my hair is obviously pulled up, but the fan in the back has grabbed several of my hairs. I've been walking and I have felt a little pull, and then I can reach back and there's a hair and it's taut and it breaks the hair off. The fan is trying to eat as many of my hairs as it can. That is another thing, that if you got long hair, you're going to want to make sure it's pulled up and tight, tighter than I did mine, because it's going to try to eat your hair otherwise. And then there was this weird issue that I kept running across as I was walking. This happened, I think, 4 times in that walk. We're doing our thing, nothing's going on, and suddenly I hear the fan power down. And then about 3 seconds later, it powers back up. I don't know what it's doing. I think it's something to do with the AI mode. It's trying to like tune things in a certain way, but it's just odd to me. I would probably just use the cool mode at that point because it's weird to have the fan just shut down and then go right back up. It just seemed really strange. I'm sure it's trying to do something, but I don't know what that would be and how that would be useful. I think that they say there shouldn't be any condensation from sweat, but maybe you can see this, maybe you can't. There's definitely a little bit of condensation on there, but that's not too bad. It's not a whole lot, nothing significant, guys. Overall, I do think that this thing, to use the ironic phrase, is pretty cool. I can definitely see myself using this during the summer, during these sorts of walks, times I'm going to be outside for long periods of time. I guess I should also tell you the battery drain there. So I'm down to 51%. When I left on that walk, I was in the 80% region. So that's a mile and a half, somewhere around total, because I had it on before I started on the walk. I'd say probably 45 minutes, and we lost about 30% battery. Again, like I said earlier, I think I said this earlier, 2 hours to charge the thing back up. I think that's pretty decent. Now, there are some other features with this thing. It can not only do cooling, but it can do heat. You're not going to be able to get me to put this thing on with heat on it right now, though it is the summer. It's very warm. But in the winter, you can turn this thing on heat. Maybe during the winter when I'm going on these very same walks, I'm going to want to be able to stay warm. It might be also a neat feature to be able to use that heat to kind of soothe a stiff neck, which is something that I'm prone to as well. For $399, like I said, this is not a cheap thing, but it does the job it sets out to do. There's a lot of features. The build quality is solid, and it works, guys. Look, it's not going to make you feel like it's 90 and you feel like it's a 50-degree day or something crazy like that. But are you going to be more comfortable with it on than you were before? I think absolutely you're going to be. Now, there should be a sale of some sort going when this is being posted. If what they told me is accurate, there should be a 15% sale on Amazon, link down below, and there should be a $50 coupon if you use the link to their website down below, which ends with my name, ranvu.com/discount/Shane Craig. Again, both of these will be in the description down below. Hopefully those discounts are still there when you are watching this video. Big shout out to Ranvu for sending the Ice 3 over. I really do appreciate it. Very, very cool. An underestimated piece of tech by myself. Better than I thought that it was going to be. As usual, no money has changed hands for the production of this review, and that's how you know it's going to be an honest review. And also, Ranvu is seeing this video at the exact same time as you are. Guys, subscribe for more content just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.